Alrighty. So we saw a top-notch interview from the Speaker Series on Josh Pate, and it was our guy, Kalen DeBoer. And he seemed like he did a pretty good job. He did all right, but what do you think, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, judging by what he, said during that, I guess you would say interview. I mean, he seems confident, but he has to be, right? Like you can't go into that interview and not be confident because you're dealing with the Alabama fan base. You have them kind of, I wouldn't say it's like shaky ground, but a lot of fans are a little bit worried about the future of the program, and all eyes are on DeBoer. Like, hey, you gotta continue what Saban did. You got to continue to win at a high level, even if you're not going to win as many titles. That's not probably feasible. But you look at the things he said, like being excited about the positions that are going to look different. We're going to talk about that later. He was talking about stuff like that, just a bunch of stuff, in general with fan expectations and everything as well. I feel like, again, you have to meet that. You have to meet that demand for success. Like, if you're a coach in a program like this and you don't talk about fan expectations, then, I mean, you're in over your head at that point. So I feel like overall he pretty much, delivered a pretty solid interview with Pate, and I think that is making some Alabama fans feel a little bit better about him because, I mean, a lot of times the way people perceive people is through the media. Like how you sell yourself and your program in the media is gonna influence how a lot of people feel about a person. I mean, if you recall, like PJ Fleck when he was winning in Minnesota, people were like, "Oh, I love his row the boat and his attitude and all that kind of stuff." But then they started losing, and people kind of faded on him. So it would happen to Signetti if he starts losing at Indiana. People will start clowning on him. But like right now, Indiana's winning, doing well. So like his boldness, people like that. Most people. So I feel like with DeBoer, like he's got to be confident. He can't be overconfident, but the way that he sells himself in the program is definitely, I think, gonna help it in the long run. I think he did a good job.
I would
Yeah,
agree.
I was interested with regard to his comments, year one to year two, and that dynamic, and you want improvement. And I like the fact that he relied upon his experience, been there, done that, and keeping the expectations high for himself, for the program, for the players, for even the assistant coaches, and being positive and creating. He's not Nick Saban. I mean, he doesn't have that old school bark them out, kind of mentality. But that's okay. It's okay. It worked for Coach Saban, but I mean, he's going to be more, I guess, smooth running and not ruffling and making, comments, out of the whatever, those type of comments. I don't see a lot of, you would hear some things, quotes and stuff with regard to Saban during practice. I don't see anything with Coach DeBoer related to that. So I think he's more of an even keel. I'm not sure he's one of those old school, gripe them out and, bring the hammer and all that kind of stuff with regard to players. But in fairness to him, his second year, he's always done a great job, and he's got a good defense. He's got some great tools to work with. And so, and ideas, keep us in the hunt. Keep us in the hunt. Coach, it was what? Coach Saban's third year. That things really took the first year, but 6-6, bowl game, second year, got all, there. And then of course didn't have enough experience in third year, boom. So you want to see improvement. The deal here, you can't lose to Vanderbilt.
No.
I mean, that stuff's got to be over. And so if
Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. As bad as we looked. So you got to have more improvement. I think the biggest improvement for Alabama is going to be on defense. So I liked what he had to say.
Yeah, the linebacker position where he's like really impressed with it. Like I've got a great feeling about our defense going into 2025.
Well, I mean, the defense has to be great. I mean, even in the Saban era, we had seasons where our offense wasn't very good outside of like one or two players, but our defense was so stout that we were able to win, grinded out, low-scoring games. Yes, football's kind of changed since 2010. It's played a little differently now. You got to put up more points in general than you used to. It's harder to win those type of games. But if you don't have a great defense, you're not going to win. You're just not going to win. It doesn't matter what your offense is. So,
you got to have the I don't know if it still rings true today, but defense wins championships. If other team can't score, and all you got to do is just, in today's world, it's not so much keeping them from scoring. It's just get them out of rhythm and limit their number of possessions, limit the number of times that they have the ball. And to do that, you got to have a very methodical type of offense. Now you run into the throw it up, score it up, and so you got to have a good mix of. You got to be able to score a lot, but you got to be able to play defense because that's going to help you win the championships. I haven't seen too many other than I haven't seen too many playoff games or the semifinal games have been just romp them, stop them, score them up. I mean, they're up 20s, 30s, type of games, that kind of stuff. Every now and then there'll be an outlier, but so that means you got to have some defense.
There you go. I mean, you got to have all the defense. I mean, I still believe in that motto, defense wins championships, because in a way, it really does.
Well, it used to be the great defenses could keep other teams under 200 yards total offense. Well, you can forget that now. Good defenses now, if you can keep them under 350 because of the pace of the game and spread them out and gaps and open areas and stuff like that. So, 300, 350, if you can have a defense like that, you're going to be in the playoffs for sure. So that's where we are today.
I can't imagine like some of the current teams that we have going against somebody like Leroy Jordan in the 60s. Like, that would be ugly.
Yeah. Be some, somebody eventually will do an AI whatever, and they'll have the, all the, the Bama great defenders against all the whatever, Georgia, Auburn, great offensive players, and we'll do a little sync. They've tried doing that stuff in the past, but sooner or later, chat or AI will create something like that, and it'll be kind of interesting to watch. You know what I'm saying? It'll happen, and we'll all be like,
and then people will be like, "That's like the definitive result." Like, okay,
yeah,
oh man,
well, we don't have to watch it. We don't have to watch it anymore. We got this.
Yeah, but nope. Yeah. Pit Snipe Husker says DeBoer hasn't mastered Saban's charming old cuss energy.
Yeah, exactly.
So. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, hardly anybody would be able to match Saban's energy. I mean, it's a different era. He had the ability to do so too with his success and track record. I mean, you cannot be Nick Saban and have the record of Kirk Ferentz. You can't do that. Like to be Nick Saban, you have to win like Nick Saban first. But then when he won, and then his personality, he was able to shine through all the way. I mean, that's what's really cool. It's great when people can actually, showcase their authentic selves, and it's hard to do that if you're not winning. You really can't.
I mean, like the last time Iowa was winning a national title in all college football, Gunsmoke was the #1 television show in America.
Yeah, and probably half of America don't even know what that show is, which is a shame.
Old Matt Dillon and Festus.
Like Chester going, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. Never seen that show.
I've seen it a few times.
It was only the longest running TV show ever.
I love watching MeTV. When I have time, I watch some of those westerns.
Yeah, that thing ran for 20 some odd years.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens for 2025. I mean, like the Josh Pate interview, I felt pretty good about what I saw.
Yeah.
And I think it seems like you guys liked it. I think everybody in the chat liked it.
Yeah, Will and D, our buddy Will, is saying it could affect NIL money too. I mean, yeah, like the way that he, portrayed and presented himself is like all that stuff matters. I mean, like you see, like again, I hate to reference it again, but Indiana, Kurt Signetti, you see what he's doing there and the way that he's portraying himself in the program, and more money is being pumped into Indiana football than ever. It's like that's what does that type of stuff. The donors have to believe that you're going to be good for them to want to actually give you the resources to win. And I think that DeBoer's doing a good job of that. But if he can even do better, than what he's done so far, in the future, then that would definitely put Alabama in a trajectory to get back to the top of college football again. But it's going to take some time, but I think it's possible.